Ahoy, welcome back to another video. Today I'm doing a video I've been putting off for a long time, and that is a collection update video. About a year ago I did a tour of this game room I'm in right now, just kind of showing off my setup, where I had all my games, where I had my systems plugged in, all stuff like that. And I mentioned I wanted to do a series of videos where I would do infrequent updates of when I get some new games in the collection. I would show off the games, talk about them, etc., etc. So it's been about a year since I did that video, so I'm going to have a larger list of games to talk about than I planned when I had this video in mind. Got a couple dozen games I'm going to talk about today. These are mostly just like retro titles. I'm not going to talk about all of my new modern pickups. The plan is I'm going to section these off into different chunks. Like we'll have like Game Boy related games, maybe some PlayStation games, etc., etc. We'll have different chunks. We'll talk about the games, and then at the end, end of each section, we'll go through my spreadsheet I have, which will have all the games I plan on putting into these. I plan on getting for each of these systems one day. And then at the end, we'll do a nice little montage of putting these games all on the shelf. So let's get started with the first section, which I'm going to call Old Nintendo Cardboard. All right, so old Nintendo cardboard. Let's talk about that. Let's go NES/Famicom, Super NES/Super Famicom, and N64. So the first of these games I'm going to talk about is Donkey Kong Country. So a little philosophy about like how I collect games. What I've kind of decided I want to do is I'm not going to go after any particular set first. I'm not going to go after any particularly like rare finds or good deals I find. I'm really just going to go after games I like, games that interest me, and games that are cool to me. So you'll see some of that here. So the first game I got here was Donkey Kong Country. I did not play a lot of Donkey Kong Country games growing up. I really got into the series on the Switch with Tropical Freeze. I've since gone back and played these SNES games through NSO. But I really wanted to get start my SNES collection because I didn't have any boxed copies, and I got Donkey Kong Country around the time Donkey Kong Bonanza came out. I thought this would be a great way to start off my Super Nintendo set, so I got this nice copy of Donkey Kong Country. Really happy to have that. Let's do some Famicom games. Let's start off with a weird one here. Fire Emblem Gaiden. So my favorite video game series is Fire Emblem. I've been playing the series for most of my life. My favorite game ever is Fire Emblem Three Houses. And I want to eventually own all of the Fire Emblem games. The first 6 of those games were Japan only. So here is the second game in the series, Fire Emblem Gaiden. That brings me up to, I have Fire Emblem 1, Fire Emblem 2, and Fire Emblem 4 of the Japanese ones. So Fire Emblem Gaiden is kind of a weird game in the series. They're trying some new ideas, like a lot of second NES games, kind of a black sheep of the series, kind of think like Zelda 2. I know people, like some people say like Final Fantasy 2 is weird. What else is weird? I guess Mario Land or Mario 2 is kind of weird. A lot of 2s on the NES are odd, and Fire Emblem Gaiden is no different. But I'm glad to have it. I do like the 3DS remake, so I'm really happy to have this here in the collection as well. Keeping along the NES list, we've got Devil World. So Devil World is an interesting game in that this is the first, I believe it's the first console game that Shigeru Miyamoto worked on. I think directed is the correct phrasing. So this is kind of like a Pac-Man clone. The game is scrolling by, and you are playing this weird as this little green dinosaur guy, and this devil guy is doing some weird dances on the top of the screen. Interesting thing about this game, the reason I have a Japanese copy, is it did not come out in North America due to the religious imagery with the cross and the devil. I believe this was mid-Satanic Panic era in the United States, so this game did not make it over. So I was glad to get this Japanese copy of this game. Really cool. This is a perfect example of a game in my collection that I will never intend on actually playing, at least not the original console version. If I ever played this game, it would be just through NSO. But I think it's a cool and like historical thing that I want to have on the shelf, and I really do like the artwork, so I'm happy to have it. Now we get our N64 games. Let's start off with Yoshi's Story. This isn't my favorite Yoshi game. I'm not a huge like Yoshi guy. I like Yoshi, you know, punches the next guy, but not Yoshi's not like my favorite character or anything. But I do have some fond memories of Yoshi's Story. I had a loose copy of this game for the N64. It was I believe the N64 was my older sister's, and I kind of stole it. But I really wanted to get boxes for all of my loose N64 games, and Yoshi's Story was the first game in which I did that. Pretty simple 2D platformer, not a super long game, but really nostalgic to me, and I think it has some cool artwork. So happy to have that one. And then my favorite of these old Nintendo pickups, the original Super Smash Bros. I got really into Smash Bros. On the GameCube with Melee. I didn't play a whole lot of 64 really ever. I played it at like McDonald's, you know, remember McDonald's in the play areas, they would have games sometimes. I believe I played it there for the first time. I bought it on, I believe, the Wii Virtual Console, but I always wanted to get a physical copy, and now you can see here, and that right over here, I have a analog 3D, so now I can play this game a little easier than getting out the old N64. But yeah, Super Smash Bros. I just think such cool artwork on this one. I really like the way Mario looks here. And this weird Pikachu zapping him, and then looks like a Fox up smashed Samus right here. Something's going on there. Then Link's just looking like a dork, staring off into the distance. Really happy to have this one. Probably my biggest N64 pickup I've made outside of like the original Mario 64. So now we'll shift over to the Excel sheet, and I'll kind of break down what we're looking at here. So I've got column A, the games, column B, the console. Column C is some pricing information. I haven't finished that yet, so I don't have it on here. This is me like looking up like what they cost on price charting and stuff like that to give me an idea of what I might spend on them. Went ahead and just hid that column for now. And then I have some notes here, just little things like I have the cart for this one, I have the box and manual for this one, that kind of thing. So the games in green are games that I have purchased. A little weird, these aren't all of the games I have for these systems. What it is these are the games that when I made this list, I only put games I didn't have. So like any games I had already on the shelf prior to the creation of this list aren't on here. But anything I put on here and then subsequently did buy, I'm putting in green. I don't know, I should maybe just delete them to stay consistent, but that's how I have it. So yeah, these are games that I want to get for each of these consoles. This is not an exhaustive list. This is literally when I have an idea, I'm just like sitting here at my computer. I'm like, oh, I wonder if I have that on the list. I'll just go throw it in the list. I didn't sit here and look at a full list of every game for every system and then go type the ones I want. This is just kind of a spur of the moment things I add. So let's start with N64 just because it's sorted on top. The big ones for N64 are these Zelda games. Ocarina of Time, obviously, I want to get that nice gold cartridge and Majora's Mask. I love Ocarina of Time. I've played about half Majora's Mask. I don't like it as much, but I'd still like to have it. It's an important game. So those are probably the biggest N64 games to get on the shelf. But the one I probably is my favorite, though, I love Mario Golf. I grew up playing Mario Golf for the N64. I have a loose copy of it. I really want to get a box version of that. So that is high on my list. And then just like some other kind of random things that I thought would be cool to have. Donkey Kong 64, Star Fox 64. I believe both of these have oddly shaped boxes. I think they come with like Donkey Kong 64 comes with the expansion pack, I believe, and maybe so does Star Fox, or Star Fox comes with something. I don't remember exactly what, but I know these games have, they're not just like the normal shapes like these, if I remember correctly. So I'm sure there's more N64 games, but to be honest, the N64 library is not super huge and full of like big hitters that I want. Mainly just like a small list of things that are important and are good, and the rest is just kind of whatever to me. I'm not trying to get like 40 games for each set. I'm happy to get like a dozen games in each set. Over to the NES/Famicom set. Kind of bothers me that I have NES/Famicom, then I just have SNES instead of SNES/Super Famicom, but whatever. NES/Famicom. Already mentioned Fire Emblem Gaiden. I don't know where Devil World is on here. Maybe it didn't get sorted correctly. But the big ones for the NES are Mario Bros. 1, 2, 3. You got to get those. Important games. I don't know if I'll go for a Left Bros on Super Mario Bros. 3. It's a lot cheaper just to get a Right Bros copy. Legend of Zelda, obviously. Zelda 2. I don't particularly love Zelda 2, but I do feel like it's an important one to have. I do actually love the original Zelda, and I will be getting one of those hopefully shortly. Metroid. Original Metroid, I don't like that game. It's not fun to play in my opinion, but it is really important, and it's spurred on one of my favorite series and one of my favorite genres, so I do feel like it is important to have on the shelf. And there's some fun in it, but it's not a game I would ever go play all the way through, and it's in that state. And then I'm a big Batman fan, so I kind of want to just grab some of the Batman games for these old consoles. So I believe it's just called Batman. I don't remember. I think there's a Game Boy equivalent. I don't remember exactly. I think it's just called Batman. But that is the NES list as of now. I'm hoping that when I keep doing these videos, hopefully more frequently, I will add to these lists. So I'll cross some things off, add some games to the list, that kind of thing. SNES, a lot of big hitters here. Obviously, Super Mario World. I'll probably just get a bestsellers version of this. I know I believe there's a non-bestsellers version that was like from the launch of the SNES, but this game came with the SNES, so that like it's a really hard to get copy. I believe Bird Dog Gaming got one, and he said it was very expensive and not super easy to come by. So I'll probably just get like a greatest hits version of Super Mario World just to have it on the shelf. Link to the Past is one of my favorite games ever. I'm gonna try to get a nice copy of that. Super Metroid, super cool box art, and I believe it's like, in my opinion, like the earliest Metroid game that's like still fun to go back to. Metroid 1, Metroid 2 are both really tough, and I just rather play the remakes. But Super Metroid is still legitimately a very fun game today. Already showed Donkey Kong Country. I'd like to get 2 and 3. Lower priority, but I'd like to get those. And then Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy 3/6. So we got some platformers, we got the adventure games, and then we got some RPGs here. Also, not an exhaustive list, obviously. There's plenty more in the SNES I will add to this list as time goes. Let's get on to the next set of games. All right, so next up, we're going to talk PS1 and PS2. I had a PlayStation 1 at a young age. I think it was my brother's. I can't remember if my brother's or my sister's. But I have some games in there. I have like Crash Bandicoot. I've got, I think it's Crash 2, Crash Warped, and I've got like Croc, stuff like that. And I've got a Lego game, kids games that, some random other like shovelware kids games that I played as a kid, but don't think are super important to my life nowadays. But I started getting some interest in getting some important PS1 games this year after my friend Tyler sent me an Ape Escape. So we played, Craig, Tyler, and I played Ape Escape for a podcast over on Craig's channel, Generations Behind. And Tyler was nice enough to gift me a copy of Ape Escape. Very nice copy of the game. I actually really enjoyed this game. I don't have any history with Ape Escape. Oh, looks like the jewel case fell apart. Don't have any history with this game, but I do like it when I revisited it this last year. And I'm happy to have it on the shelf. It's a nice little, I don't know if you want to call it a puzzle platformer. It's definitely a platformer where you find all the apes hidden around. Oh, I hate these jewel cases. I'll fix this later. But I'm happy to have this one. It's an important game, Sony first party, and it's a good way to kind of kickstart my PlayStation collecting. But then we have what is probably my favorite PS1 game. I got a copy of Final Fantasy VII. I played this game first on the Switch, the modern port, but I was happy to have this original copy. This game's not super expensive. I think I got it at my local game store for like $30 or something. I don't even know if it was that much. But, you know, obviously it's got 3 discs in here, which is so funny to think about nowadays. But incredible game, one of the classics. I couldn't have a PlayStation collection and not have this. So this was high on my list and one of the first things I went and got. And then this last one, this is a funny one. I have no idea what this game is. I have no affiliation with it, but it was sent to me, the listing was sent to me by Bird Dog Gaming, friend of the channel. I just thought it was too funny to not buy, and that is Mickey's Wild Adventure. I don't know what country this is. It's some sort of PAL copy, but I don't know where this is from. I believe it was like sent from like New Zealand or something. So I don't know if this is some weird version of the game from New Zealand. I don't know, but I just thought it was so funny. It's like Mickey like marching out of hell. Like look at how angry he is. Got some like the ghosts and skeletons following him, the flames, and he's just stomping right out of hell here. So I thought that was super funny. Most of the games, oh yeah, product of Austria. There you go, Austria. Most games on the shelf sit here like this with the spine, but this game was too good. I had to face it. I'm gonna face this one out so I can always look at this angry ass Mickey. I guess looking at the pictures here, it looks like a 2D platformer. I will probably never actually play this game, but I think it's too funny to not have on the shelf. But yeah, those are all the PlayStation 1 pickups. I always have been more partial to Nintendo. I do like PlayStation. I play my PS5 a lot. But as far as like nostalgia and what I grew up with, it was always Nintendo stuff. So those are the games I'm going after first. But I do have a good list of PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games I want to get. We switch over here to the screen here. So sorting by PS1, PS2, I showed off Final Fantasy VII. I do want to get Final Fantasy 8 and 9. Those shouldn't be super hard to get. I played Final Fantasy 8 in the Switch as well. I liked it. I have not played Final Fantasy 9 yet. But Final Fantasy, like I would like to get all of the mainline games at some point. I think that'd be a fun little challenge. Then we have Tale of the Sun. This is a very strange game. I watched a playthrough of on Giant Bomb. You're like a caveman wandering in like I guess, I don't want to call it a 3D platform. It's almost like a top-down platformer where you're like wandering this big open space, just kind of collecting things. I think the goal of the game is to collect mammoth bones and stack them up to the sun or something, and you climb up and then you win the game. I don't know, it's a nonsense game. It's a bad game, but it's a very intriguing game, and I believe it actually just got ported to like the Switch. So I might look into that, getting a digital copy for the Switch to play, and I want to get the original copy for the PS1 for the shelf. And then we just got some FromSoft stuff. I'm a big FromSoft guy. Original Armored Core, Kingsfield. I can't remember if the original Kingsfield is Japan only and Kingsfield 2 is what we got here. I don't know for sure. I need to look into that, but I would like to have Armored Core and Kingsfield on the shelf. Obviously, there's a ton more PS1 games, but like I mentioned, I just haven't put a lot of thought into the PS1 stuff because the PS1 collecting is kind of on the back burner for me. I want to go after a lot of my big hitter Nintendo stuff first. PS2 side, I didn't get any pickups for PS2 in this video, but Katamari Damacy, love that game, and I think it's pretty cheap and easy to get for PS2. The Ratchet and Clanks, I don't have the names off the top of my head, I just put Ratchet and Clank 1, 2, 3. Those have actual subtitles that I cannot recall off the top of my head. And then God of War 1, God of War 2, both games I really enjoy. But I played these on the PS3, I believe, the PS3 collection. I would like to have the PS2 copies for those. So that's all we got for the PlayStation stuff. Let's jump over to the next set of games. All right, this will probably be my favorite set of games we show today. This will be Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. I'm putting them all together just because they all sit next to each other on the shelf, and they all kind of, they kind of feel similar enough to talk about in one go. The first thing we're going to talk about is Mario's Picross. If you haven't played Picross, they're just like little logic puzzles. You got numbers on the side of the screen, in the top of the screen, and using those numbers, you select the squares in the grid, and it makes a picture. Really fun game, really nice wind down game, or just like laying in bed, just trying to pass some time. I played Picross for the first time on the Switch through Picross S3, and then when Mario's Picross got added to NSO, I wanted to get a copy of the Game Boy version. I believe there's 2 Mario's Picross on the Game Boy, but only the first one came to North America, so that's this copy right here. Not a super common game on eBay. I remember when I was looking for this, I was looking along with Bird Dog, and he found this one for me actually, and was like, "You need to get this, or I'm going to get this." And I was like, "Yes, sir," and I bought it. I really love this game. Play it through NSO, give it a chance. It's on the base tier, on the Game Boy tier, so really nice little logic puzzles, and can pass some time if you want to let it. Next up, I talked a little bit about the N64 version of this game earlier, but now we're going to talk about the Game Boy version of Mario Golf. This game I did not grow up with either, but it was it got added to NSO, and I tried it, and I loved this game on NSO. I thought it was super fun. Everyone always talks about like the RPG mechanics of these games, the little storyline, and I thought this was a super fun game to play, and I immediately went and bought a copy to have on the shelf. It doesn't really play or look like the N64 version, but it has the same like N64 looking Mario on the front, which I think is funny. They didn't really give it a unique box art. That is clearly N64 Mario right there. As much as I love Mario Golf for the N64 and I'm nostalgic for it, I think this might be the better game. I'm really happy to have it. And then we've got probably the biggest hitter of this lot. We have a Pokemon Red. This is one of the newest pickups I got. I got this just a couple weeks ago. I was sitting there with some friends on a party chat, and they were all looking at this copy of Pokemon Red. It was around my birthday. I had a few margaritas. I was looking to spend some money, and they were talking about how nice this copy was, and I just kind of on a whim bought this. It's not like outrageously expensive, but it was a few $100s. So maybe it wasn't my best decision, but I was looking to buy myself something nice. The margaritas were flowing, and I bought this copy of Pokemon Red. And you know, I've been playing Pokemon games my whole life, and this is one of the biggest like grails to me. I wanted to get the original Pokemon games. So getting this wasn't just completely on a whim. It's something I've always wanted, but the opportunity arose. They sent the link over to me, and I just kind of went for it. So I have to have that. Then we got some Game Boy Advance games. This is my newest pickup, just came in this last week. Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. One of my favorite Game Boy Advance games. We actually just recorded a podcast today for top 5 Game Boy Advance games, and spoilers, I put this at number 5. Really fun, charming art style, great music, like most Zelda games, but this is like a game I played a lot as a kid. I have memories of going to Walmart with my mother, and she always liked to go to Walmart with her, and I would sit in the cart and we'd go get the strategy guide from the game section. I would sit there and read the strategy guide for this game to help me out through some of the dungeons that I struggled through as a kid. I lost my copy. The box is way gone, but the actual loose cart got lost sometime in the last 20 years, whatever it was. So I had to buy a complete copy, box and manual and game itself, but I'm super happy to have this back on the shelf. Oop, there you go, sorry about that. One of my favorite Game Boy Advance games. And then we have what is even more of a favorite of the Game Boy Advance to me, Fire Emblem Sacred Stones. I mentioned earlier, Fire Emblem is my favorite video game series. Sacred Stones is like a top 5, sometimes top 3 Fire Emblem for me, but definitely a top 5. It is my most played Fire Emblem game. I've played it 10, maybe a dozen times through. Similar story to a lot of my other Game Boy, Game Boy Advance games. I have the cartridge for this one, but the box is long gone. So I was happy to buy the box and manual for this. Super cool game, one of my favorites. Really beginner friendly too, in my opinion. For Fire Emblem, if you haven't played anything in the series, check this one out on NSO. I think it's really approachable. Let's shift over to the screen. Game Boy games. I have a good list here of Game Boy games I want. Starting off with Blue and Yellow. I just got Red. I'm not like super like dying to get Blue and Yellow now. Those can wait for a bit. Those are just like one day. It'd be nice to have all three. And then on that note, also Gold and Silver. I have Gold loose. I feel like I had Silver loose back in the day. Maybe I lost it. I definitely have Gold loose. So I'd like to get those. And then Crystal. Where's Crystal at? It's hiding from me. Crystal's way down here. Same thing. I'd like to have that one day, but Crystal's super expensive. So who knows when I'll get Pokemon Crystal. But basically all of the Game Boy Color, and you know, why not just talk about Game Boy Advance. Ruby and Sapphire, I also want to get those. Basically all the Pokemon games are on this list. I've had a lot of these cartridges over time. Like my Sapphire is my original Pokemon game. I lost the cartridge at some point. It's gone. That's kind of sad, but I do still have my Ruby, so that's nice, but I don't have a box, yada yada. I'd like to get all those boxes. Let's see, Mario Land 1 and 2. I have both those games loose. I really enjoy these games. Specifically, Mario Land 2 is one of my favorites I go back to. I was playing it every year there for a while. I was making a tradition to play it on January 1st every year. Haven't done that in a couple years, but I really love Mario 2. I'd like to get that complete. Metroid 2, like I mentioned, I don't really like the game. I think it's kind of hard to go back to, but it is a Metroid game. It is a pretty important game. I'd like to have it for the shelf. Link's Awakening. I don't have this game on cart. I do have the remake. I also have like the the Zelda Game & Watch they released a few years ago. So I technically could play it through that, but I'd like to have the original game on the shelf. The Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls. This is a Japanese-only game that I bought the cartridge for. Back when I was just buying like cartridges to say I had games. I'd like to get the full box copy. But this game's in Japanese only, so when I actually play it, I'll play it through my pocket, my analog pocket, through an English translation. Let's see, Wario Blast. I think this is like a Bomberman game, Bomberman-like. I just kind of like Wario. I think it's an interesting game I'd like to have. Tetris, kind of no-brainer. This is like the Game Boy game. Got to get that on the shelf. Mole Mania is another Miyamoto joint. I don't know much about the game. I just know it's a Miyamoto game, so I'd like to have it. Final Fantasy Adventure. These are kind of spin-off action-adventure games. I have a loose copy of it. Same thing with Batman, 2D action platformer. I have a loose copy of it. Move down here to the GBC. Pokemon Crystal already mentioned. Oracle of Ages. This is my first game. Not first Zelda, my first game period. I had Oracle of Ages. It took me a long time to beat this game. I didn't beat it until going back to it as like a teenager, a young teenager. Because I got the game, I must have been like 5 years old. I don't know why this was the game they bought for me, but I'm happy to have it. But I want to get a full box copy. This specifically, I do want to buy an additional cartridge with an additional box because my copy, the artwork is like ripped up, the sticker's all torn off, and it has my name written in Sharpie over the artwork because my mother wanted to make sure that nobody would take the game from me. And for some reason, she thought writing my name over the artwork was a good spot to put that. So I'd like to get a new copy to have in the box, and then I have the original copy, the original video game of mine. It's like on a stand by itself behind glass, like it's some trophy, because it's important to me. Oracle of Ages, I have the cart for that. I'll just get a box and manual. I'm not as nostalgic for that one, but I'd like to complete it at least. Drill Dozer. Oh, well, that might be bad. Why did I go Drill? I'm still talking GBC here. Rayman 2 is the last one. Sorry, Rayman 2. I have the cartridge. Childhood game. I'd like to complete it. All right, now we'll get to GBA games, and we'll start off with Drill Dozer. Don't know much about this game, but I believe this is a Game Freak game. Maybe I'm making that up. For some reason, I'm telling myself it's a Game Freak game. Or maybe this is the one that just has the rumble. Is this the one that just has the rumble in the Game Boy cartridge? I think that's why I wanted it, because it had a rumble pack in the Game Boy cartridge. I thought that was interesting. So disregard all the things I said. I just think this is a weird looking game with a special cartridge, and I'd like to have it, but I believe it's pretty expensive. Already mentioned the Pokemons, the Metroids, Fusion and Zero Mission. Yep, just solid Metroid games. Zero Mission is a remake of the first one. Super replayable, super fun game. And then Fusion being Metroid 4. Just two games that I enjoy a lot. I'd like to get on the shelf. Golden Sun 1 and 2. I have a Golden Sun cartridge. Both these games I've been interested in, but I've never played it. Advance Wars. I like Fire Emblem, or I love Fire Emblem games a lot, and Advance Wars is like a sister series to Fire Emblem. It's another Intelligent Systems strategy series that I have never really given a full chance. I bought the reboot. It didn't really stick with me. I'd like to get the original copy and maybe go back to and try it again one day. Some Sonic games, Sonic Advance. I believe I have the cartridges for Sonic Advance 1, 2, 3. Maybe I'll just want like a box copy of the first one. I don't know if I want all three boxed, but I would like to get at least the first one. As well as Sonic Battle. It's just a weird little fighting, I guess you call it a fighting game with Sonic that I played a lot as a kid. I'd like to get that boxed as well. As well as the Fire Emblem 7, the first Fire Emblem game that came west. I don't own that game. I've only played it through NSO, through Virtual Console, stuff like that. And then I had a neighbor that had it as a kid that I introduced it to me. So I'd like to get that one as well. But there we go. That's our Game Boy games. I'll move on to the next chunk. All right, now we're going to talk about the Virtual Boy real quick. So I am trying to get a complete Virtual Boy set. There are only 14 North American Virtual Boy games. I currently have 4 of them, and I will talk about 2 of them today because I have picked them up since the last video. Starting off first, we've got Teleroboxer. This is kind of like a Punch-Out game, but you play as little robots, Rock'em Sock'em robot style. Hard game. Played it on NSO. I couldn't quite get into it. A little outside of my skill level, but I think it's a cool game. And then we've got Galactic Pinball. This is a pinball game, virtual pinball. This was a very fun game. I do enjoy this one. Just 4 pinball tables, and it's pinball, but in the Virtual Boy. So yeah, these are 2 more games to the set of 14 total. We'll shoot over to the screen. Just kind of showing the games I have. So I have 3D Tetris, I have Galactic Pinball, I have Teleroboxer, and I have Virtual League Baseball. I have the price charting prices for what these games cost and what I paid for them. So, you know, I'm trying to stay close to the price charting price. I know it's not the end-all be-all, but I'll feel good if I can get close to that number. Obviously, with the Virtual Boy, I mentioned I want to get all the games. Some of them are more accessible than others. Things like Red Alarm, $50. You know, golf, apparently it's $80. But then we have stuff like Jack Bros. It's $2,000. Who knows when or if I'll get that game. But it's on the list. I would like to get it. And then like Waterworld, $450 is crazy. I think the next ones for Virtual Boy I'll try to get. I would like to get the Mario games, the Mario Clash, Mario Tennis. And then obviously Virtual Boy Wario Land, which is probably the best game on the system. If I can get Wario Land, Mario Clash, and then a boxed copy of Mario Tennis, because I have the pack-in version of the game that came with the Virtual Boy, but I'd like to get the not for resale box. If I can get those 3 games, that'll be halfway through the set number-wise, and I also feel really good about the kinds of games, like the actual games I have in the library. I'll have most of, I think that'll be all the remaining Nintendo published ones. Let's see, 1, 2. Yeah, I think it's all like the big Nintendo games themselves. The rest are just like other IPs and third-party stuff. So yeah, a lot of work left on the Virtual Boy. Mainly just Jack Bros. Who knows when we'll get that game. I also like kind of made a note over here about the Japanese-only Virtual Boy games. I believe there are 8 more games. A lot of these are really expensive, and these are going to be lower prio. I might grab a couple of these for the shelf if a good situation arises, just because I think the Virtual Boy is cool. So I'd like to get all the Virtual Boy games. I think it'd be neat to say I have every North American and every Japanese Virtual Boy game. Well, I think there's like 3 or 4 games on this Japanese list that are a 4-digit number. And to be clear, I would only get the Japanese exclusive games. I wouldn't go buy a copy of like Virtual Boy Wario Land, North American, and Japanese. I would just get the North American one, and then I'll get the Japanese exclusive Virtual Boy games if I choose to go after those. And that's the Virtual Boy. Let's jump over to the next set. All right, next up we're going to do Wii and Wii U. Only have 3 of these, so we'll keep it quick. Starting off with the Wii U, I got a copy of Splatoon. I feel like Splatoon is like, it's one of the more important Wii U games to have. Probably the biggest new franchise from Nintendo. And the Wii U is obviously where it got its start. Not super hard to get, not expensive. I did play through this game on stream. I did enjoy it. It's a pretty fun game. I'd like to play through Splatoon 2 and 3 before that new Splatoon Raiders comes out eventually. But happy to have that one. I also played through this game on stream, Star Fox Guard. I believe this was a pack-in game for Star Fox Zero, but I thought it'd be funny if I just bought it. I call it loose. It's in its own box, but I believe this only ever came with Star Fox Zero. I might be wrong there, but it's a fun little like tactics, almost like a tower defense kind of game. Got these creepy Rob-looking robots in the background. A neat game. Used the Wii U very well. Had like basically a set of security screens, and you're like monitoring your base. Neat game. But the Wii game that I did get that I was really happy to grab, got Wii Animal Crossing. So Animal Crossing City Folk. I played a lot of Animal Crossing growing up on the GameCube, on the DS, 3DS, etc., etc. The Wii one I only ever rented. I never owned this game. What do you call it? Never owned this game, just rented it from Blockbuster. Apparently this is a not for resale version. I don't know if that's normal or what I got. Maybe that's because it came inside the box with the little Wii Speak here, which I do not have. I don't know where this copy came from. I just got it off of eBay. But I do like this game. I love Animal Crossing in general, but it's probably my least played Animal Crossing game. And I think next time I get a real kick to play some more Animal Crossing, I might play this one next, just to kind of finally play through this one all the way through. Switching over the screen, got a small list of Wii and Wii U games. Starting off with Wii U, I think it'd be funny to get Breath of the Wild. I feel like everyone associates Breath of the Wild more with the Switch because it was a launch game for the Switch and it was a big deal. Kind of jump-started the Switch and really Nintendo in general into where they are now in the recent decade or so. But I want to get a Wii U copy because I think that'd be funny. SteamWorld Collection, I believe this is SteamWorld 1 and SteamWorld Heist. Both games I really enjoy. I'd like to get that. And then Tokyo Mirage Sessions Special Edition. So this is a, I believe it's a Shin Megami Tensei and like crossover with Fire Emblem. But I don't know how important the Fire Emblem is, like the gameplay. I think the characters are just kind of there. And there's a cool special edition for this game I would like to own. So yeah. On the Wii though, Mario Galaxy 2. I never owned that game as a kid. I bought it digitally through the Wii U. And then I got it on the Switch as well. I really do enjoy this game, but I'd like to get the original copy of it. Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. This is probably my second favorite Fire Emblem game. I let a friend borrow it, I believe in high school. I think he lost it, so that was kind of tragic. But I'd like to reacquire Radiant Dawn because I currently don't have it. And then we've got the, what is it called? The Project, whatever, Project Rainfall, that's what it is. Project Rainfall games. This is, I think this was a fan-led, like, petition thing. They wanted, like, Nintendo to start putting more RPGs out for the Wii, or maybe on North America. I can't remember. I think it was, like, North America wasn't getting RPGs while Japan was, or something or other. Anyway, Project Rainfall, go Google it. I just know that those games are Xenoblade Chronicles, Pandora's Tower, and The Last Story. These are 3 games that Nintendo like localized. And I think it'd be cool to revisit this era of games. I've played Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I really like it, but I've never played Pandora's Tower or The Last Story. I've just kind of heard about them through like Did You Know Gaming videos I think it'd be cool to like experience all 3 of those games on the Wii. Just kind of get a vibe of that era of RPGs. Yep, those are the Wii and Wii U games. Off the next bench. All right, this next set is going to be a quick one. I don't really collect for Xbox. I played a lot of Xbox 360 back in the day, but I do have a couple Xbox pickups I want to show off. This one was a gift from Bird Dog Gaming. I appreciate it very much. This is Psychonauts, I almost said third-party platformer, a 3D platformer. I know these games are super well regarded. I've heard really good things about Psychonauts 2, but I've heard Psychonauts 1 might even be the better game, and it's a really cool original Xbox game to have on the shelf. Super happy about that. A psychic adventure from the minds of Tim Schafer. So yeah, really happy to have this. I appreciate Bird Dog getting it for me. And then the only other Xbox pickups I have, Minecraft, Xbox 360 edition, and then the Xbox One version. So for those who don't know, Minecraft is actually like my second favorite game ever made. I love Minecraft. I put thousands of hours of Minecraft growing up. I played it. I go through sessions where I'll play Minecraft for 100 hours at a time, where it's like my obsession. I have to play it. I had to finish a new world. I had to finish the game, beat the dragon, etc., etc. I never actually owned it physically, so I was like, well, this game's pretty cheap. I played a lot of the Xbox 360 edition back when that came out. I played the Java edition like in the beta days on like the family computer. But then when it came to the 360, I picked that up and I played a lot of that. So I thought it'd be cool to have that version. It's kind of timestamped that, while still playing on the 360 a lot. This is like, I was playing a lot of Call of Duty and I started transitioning back to playing more like Nintendo and PlayStation stuff. And Minecraft was one of the last games I played on my 360 a lot. So I was happy to get this copy of it. And then I think the game store I bought this from was like, just like, let me have this one too. Like I bought these, I got a buy one, get one, I think, for these two. So I was like, why not? I'll get Minecraft for the Xbox One as well. And I hate to say it, I don't actually have any Xbox games on this list yet on the sales sheet. So I'll have to do some work there to start figuring out what kind of Xbox games I want to get. All right, and then lastly, we have a special edition of a game. This is another gift, a very generous gift, I might add you, from my friend Tyler. Madman bought me this. Can't even get it all in frame. Fire Emblem 3 Houses Special Edition, or the Seasons of Warfare Edition. So like I've mentioned, this is my favorite game ever. Fire Emblem 3 Houses is. And this is the special edition that I was not able to get. When this game came out, I pre-ordered this, and GameStop kind of screwed me over. I was in the middle of a move, so I went to the GameStop in the town I was in. I said, hey, I'm moving across the state. I live in Texas, so that's a long way. I'm moving like 7 hours north of here. Could you please like put this pre-order in, but like to that GameStop in that town I'm moving to? And they're like, sure thing. That's a normal thing we always do, and I have no problems with that. So I'll put that in for you. And I was like, thank y'all. Y'all are so nice. And I even put like a $5 down. And then when the game came out, I went to that GameStop up there. I was like, hey, I'm here for my pre-order, yada, yada. Turns out the GameStop in my hometown never actually did it. They were looking at me like I was crazy. Of course, the GameStop from another town didn't put a pre-order in for this GameStop. What are you talking about? So I had to go and actually buy a digital version of the game to play it. Because I couldn't find any physicals around me because I was in a small town. So I've since got a copy of Fire Emblem 3 Houses physically for the Switch, and I bought like the art book that comes in here. But I kind of want to show off some other things. It has this really nice steel book in here. So yeah, it's a really pretty, like golden, shiny steel book. This is just on display on the shelf prominently. I'm really happy to have this very generous gift, and I'm very happy that Tyler got this for me. So now we'll do the quick little time lapse of me putting these all back on the shelf. All right, so there we have it. That video ended up taking a lot longer than I thought it would. I yapped a lot more than I thought I had the capacity to yap, but I am a yapper, so I guess that shouldn't surprise me. But if you made it to the end of this video, I really appreciate it. I love talking about this kind of stuff. I would love to hear anyone's comments below of games like I think it should add to the list for the collection, games that they were happy they recently picked up, stuff like that. Always happy to talk about video games. I'm gonna try to do these. I don't know if I want to do these like every 3 months, or if I want to like do like themed versions of them. Like maybe if I complete a certain subset of games I want to get, then I'll do another episode on those subset of games. I don't know. I'll think about what the next episode of this is going to look like. But I intend to keep making these as time goes, making updates. If there's anything substantial that happens in the room, maybe I'll do a video on that. But all that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, if you could leave a like, that would mean a lot. I always appreciate it. And maybe if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing if you want to see how this collection develops over the years. But yeah, that's all I got for today. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.